Can you hear me now? What's up, fight fans? And we are back at it with another edition here at Round One Sports Talk. I am your host, Edwin. And you know we had to go on tonight at night. We can't leave our night owls without some boxing news to call it a night. So here I am. So we're gonna call this Smoking and Chill Thursdays. Yeah, I'm gonna make something new. We're gonna smoke and chill Thursdays and late night cap here at Round One Sports Talk. And we're gonna get into this. We're gonna talk. I already went live today, a little 3 hour stream today. Wasn't gonna really do much, but I said to myself, nah, I got my late guys that I've been starting something with, and I have to go show them some love. So waiting for you guys to hop in this live stream and we can get this started. We got a lot to talk about. Uh, Naoya Inoue situation. There's just a lot of things going on in the sport of boxing. Regis Progress and Catterall. Yeah, they've been going back and forth on social media. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Armando, how you doing? Armando Nieves in the building. Salute my brother Armando, always joining in with us, always here showing the love and the support. Thank you for coming through. We're about to get this show started right now. Well, you know, there was a lot of interesting stories that went around this week, and I've been fairly busy myself. I've had a couple few interviews. I interviewed Rachel Donaire, Nonito Donaire, Hall of Fame fighters, manager and wife. She came up on the show and really educated us on some of the behind the scenes, on contracts, what really takes place in some of these situations. She even shared a little bit of light on the Devin Haney's situation and their lawsuit and stuff, and her experiences in a lot of boxing behind the scene action. So I encourage you to check that video out. I also had a video with trainer John Scully. He works with Arthur Benavides, right? Saying his name wrong too. Still trying to work on that one. In the Demetrius Bivol fight, and he shared some insight on that fight and where Turkey Al Sheikh's future in the sport of boxing, and how you know um it was kind of like a ploy to get people to go out there. They feel I don't feel that way. I feel no matter what, everything that he's doing and the contribution he's giving to boxing has brought fans and eyes to boxing. So for that, I am thankful. So whatever, we've seen a lot of men try to come into the sport of boxing, try to control boxing. And it's too many moving parts in order for just one man or one entity to control it all. The good thing about the UFC is that it started off that way. It didn't allow to get crazy with filled with a bunch of fighting promoters and a lot of moving parts. The UFC, Dana White took control of it real early and established a set of ground rules. and that's how the UFC was invented. That's why you can't really compare what's going on in the UFC with boxing because the UFC didn't start that way. The UFC, in fact, must have took note of what happened in boxing and started to make a system where that they can control it a little bit better. The only thing is the UFC just got a major lawsuit and the fighters just won this recently in the sports world where that they were awarded $375 million in a lawsuit. It sounds like a lot of money, and it is a lot of money. $375 million the UFC is gonna have to pay these fighters in the first lawsuit. I'm gonna remind you. And if you don't know anything about it, they won the first lawsuit. There's another lawsuit against the UFC. Okay. So Dana White just settled for 375 million on the first one. Now that 375 million is going to have to be divided between fighters in a certain period window. There's a lot of fighters that are going to get money, but depending on how many there is, the number's going to get smaller. That's like you hitting the lottery, but you and the entire town also hit the lottery. You're what they're gonna divide, the lottery might be 300 million, but what you guys will probably get is 20 grand apiece between the entire town. It's just gonna dwindle. You're not gonna see the millions. It's just too many people. So the first lawsuit was one for 375 million, like that, and they're gonna divide it, and the UFC will work that out. But as far as boxing goes, you know, um, there were too many entities, and in the sport of boxing, it's not scheduled like kind of like the UFC, where the UFC starves their fighters so much by the time they get a phone call, they're dying to fight. They can't wait to get in the ring. And the boxers, you know, um, there's so much opportunity because one promoter is not the only show in town. See, in boxing, if that one promoter calls you, that's the only game in town. You better take that fight because you might not get another phone call. But in boxing, you got 30, 40 promoters calling you, could potentially call you. And you could always take another fight, another route. You could have another vacation or another baby, whatever excuse you want to make. That's why it's so hard to control boxing right now. You know, what's up, Ben? Monster Inoue, pound for pound, number one best fighter in the world today. Second, Usyk, Crawford. Well done. Thank you. Um, I believe that Naoya Inoue is the best fighter pound for pound in the world because of his skills, his overall skills as a boxer. That's why I believe he's the best. Usyk, I can only say he's the best heavyweight. That's all I can say. I can't say that Usyk is the best fighter in the world. Like, he doesn't move like Terrence Crawford. Usyk doesn't move like Naoya Inoue. He doesn't have all the attributes. So when we're talking about a pound for pound fighter, and you're talking about Usyk, you can only refer to Usyk in the heavyweight division. You don't judge him as a whole in all 18 divisions. When you judge Terrence Crawford, you judge him throughout the 18 entire weight divisions. When you judge Naoya Inoue, you judge him on the 18 world divisions. But when you judge Usyk, you only judge him on one division. You don't say Usyk looks better than Junto or Bam Bam. He's not gonna look like these guys. He's great for a heavyweight. Yes, he moves exceptionally well for a man that big. And in fact, Usyk is considered to be, in nowadays standard, a small heavyweight. And he's huge. He's a big man. As a matter of fact, if he was fighting in Mike Tyson's era, he would be considered a huge heavyweight, Usyk, right now, right? But throughout the years, the men have even got more skilled and even bigger. You got the Dante Wilders of the world, the Tyson Furies of the world, men that are 6'9", behemoth size of men. So They try to say that Usyk's a little heavyweight. Well, in fact, he's really not. He's really not. He's a big man, Usyk. He just fights incredibly well for a man that size. And that's why I think he surprised the giants like Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury. And Usyk was surprised. You know, when you fight as a cruiserweight, though, I think that helps you because your body records and you're telling your body, I'm this fast. You know, I've been, that's kind of what like what's his name that played for the Rams? Kurt Warner. Kurt Warner came to the Rams and he was bagging groceries playing at arena football. But arena football is fast. You could throw the ball off the net, catch it off the net. The guys are running 10 yards before you hike the ball. They're getting like full speed sprint. Arena football is like NFL football on crack. Like that shit is fast as hell. So when Kurt Warner went to the NFL, everything was looking so slow for him. And this is NFL, like the pros. But arena football was that much faster than the NFL. And that's what helped Kurt Warner. That he was able to slow everything down in his head. And he won a championship from coming from bagging groceries. Because where he came from, he was a lot faster. When Usyk came up to heavyweight, he was a lot faster than these heavyweights coming from cruiserweight. He was just fighting guys and he was seeing things a lot faster, a lot quicker. And he must have been really slowing it down in his head at that level and just taking full advantage of what he's learned throughout his career. Usyk, and I think that helped him. He's not a small guy. I don't know where these guys think that Usyk's a little dude, bro. He's not. Not even no. That's a big dude right there, man. Shit. If you could be Usyk's size and they call you little, imagine me. Like, what am I, tiny? Right? I'm all of 5'8". Like, what? Yo. So, I can see what they were saying is as skill wise though for the pound for pound. Usyk really shouldn't be on a list or pound for pound list because he's king. And I've said this before, you don't put a king on a list. He's already got the most prestigious belt in all of boxing, the heavyweight championship. That's the top belt in all of boxing. You can't go no higher. So by default, he's already king. The other guy's got to fight for pound. The king doesn't have to go on a list. Nobody's list. He's already king. That's how I feel. Usyk's king. That's it. You're gonna have to beat him. Yep. As far as the other men and women and stuff that fight on other divisions for pound supremacy, pound for pound supremacy is giving you the right and the nod from the fans and the public that are indicating that you, in fact, are the most skilled of our era in all of boxing. They're acknowledging you as the most skilled fighter of our generation. The pound for pound list changes as the fighters change. Sometimes people have misconceptions of putting old late greats, still counting them to this day on a pound for pound list. You cannot do that. The pound for pound list is only for active fighters. It's always been for active fighters. People, fans, they try to change it, but the list is for only active fighters. You can't be retired and be on the list. It doesn't work like that. I mean, that list would be screwed up. You'd still have Floyd Mayweather on it, the Manny Pacquiao's. You'd probably have like Sugar Ray Leonard still on it or some shit. It would screw everything up. You could never do that. You would only have to have active fighters. That's the only qualification to be on a pound for pound list. It must be currently active. What's up, Frontline? How you doing, baby? Salute in the building. Yeah. And as far as Naoya Inoue and the Sam Goodman thing, some people are coming around criticizing Naoya Inoue for fighting Sam Goodman. And I'm a little thrown back by that. I'm like, who else do you want him to fight? Who else in that division has 2 number 1 slots by 2 major organizations that the IBF and the WBO consider him the number 1 ranked opponent? That 2 organizations are acknowledging Sam Goodman as the best number 1 fighter in that division right now. So if he's ranked by 2, not 1, and they can all agree he's the number 1 guy, what the hell's the problem? You guys are really not acknowledging Sam Goodman as a worthy opponent for Naoya Inoue? Really? Really? Then I would love anyone to enlighten me who's a worthy opponent for him. And don't come up here saying no Tank Davis shit. No Fantasy Island. He has to be a real fighter in his weight division. And if anyone says MJ Akmadalia, bro, he's next in line. He's gonna get his ass kicked next. Who would you want? Him first, then Sam? Would that make you happy? What are these guys talking? That's just pure hate talk by these other channels that are still trying to bash this young man for being the best. So his only fault, Naoya Inoue, is that he's too good. He's so much better than these guys that they don't want to see the number 1 guy fight him because they don't feel like the number 1 guy is on his level. Go figure. Dig that. You're so good and you're outclassing so many fighters that the number 1 guy in 2 organizations is not worthy to fight you. Who do you want him to fight, Superman? Naoya Inoue versus Godzilla in the ocean tomorrow night. Yo, like, what the hell is wrong with these people? Sam Goodman. Oh, that's a cherry pick. How is the number 1 guy a cherry pick? These people are... That's just hate. That's just hate. When blatantly you fought, since you unified undisputed status, you mean to tell me that you fought the number 1 contender, the number 2 contender, and now you're going to fight the number 1 contender in 2 ranked organizations? Those were your last 3 fights and your current fight going into after unifying undisputed status, right? So his last fights are going to be the number 1, the number 2, and then the number 1. How in the world are those cherry picks? 1, 2, and 1. How are they? I don't get it. I don't get it. I truly don't get it. And that's why I see the hate and the level of trying to minimize what he's doing so that you can look at other fighters, I guess. Because there's no fighter currently that is doing what he's doing. No fighter in the world. There is no fighter. I haven't seen him. I don't know who he is. Usyk is not doing what Naoya Inoue is doing. Not at all. Terrence Crawford is not doing what Naoya doing, is not at all. They're not even close in actuality. The only thing that would blind you as a fan would be, oh, weren't those the reason why I mentioned both those men? Because I want you guys to run into the same trap that everybody else is going to run into when they say the same question. And I say, they're not even close to Naoya anyway. What do you mean? Didn't they unify all 4 belts in 2 separate weight divisions, Terrence Crawford and Usyk? Well done. That's why I said it, because I wanted you to say that. Exactly. If Naoya Inoue matched them in that accolade, well, doesn't that zero out everyone else? Doesn't that zero out Terrence Crawford's accolade, and doesn't that zero out Usyk's if they all three did the same exact thing? So no one's is better than no one. We're not going to go down the road who did it better because you'll lose there too, because Naoya Inoue unified in 6 months. So let's not do that. I'm not going to even I didn't even mention that. Okay? Let's just say that they're equal. So that washes. After that accolade of securing all four in 2 separate weight divisions, where could Terrence Crawford or Usyk hold Naoya Inoue's jockstrap in accolades after that? Where? Show me. I would love to hear someone's argument, because Naoya Inoue is coming up to his 22nd consecutive world title fight in a row. I'll wait. That's a legitimate record that's going to go in boxing history that neither Terrence Crawford or Usyk has even come close to even accomplishing. Not even a fraction. 22 consecutive world title fights in a row? Are you out of your mind? And people can sit there and say, Usyk has a better record than Terrence Crawford. Really? Really? Why don't we open the books? Why don't we stop talking out the side of our necks, right? And we talk about reality, facts. Why don't we crack the books? Put all three of their records side by side. Why don't we look at it? They can't do what he's doing. How many of those guys, Terrence Crawford and Usyk, defend all 4 belts? I'll wait. Terrence Crawford never defended none of those belts. Neither did Usyk. He just got stripped. He don't even got 4 belts anymore. That's how hard that shit is to hold, to juggle. Naoya Inoue seems to be juggling. You know why? Because he's a company man. He doesn't care if Usyk wants to fight Tyson Fury because of the money and the name. But he should be doing his job and fought Dubois to defend the IBF. But he didn't. That's his choice. Naoya Inoue said, no, you're not going to strip me. I will fight my mandatory. I will fight the #1 contender. He plays by the rules and maintains the 4 belts. So how in a good world, I just explain it to me like I'm a 5-year-old kid. Show me. Just don't say it. Talk is cheap. Anybody can talk shit. Let's put their records out. Let's lay them side by side. Who accomplished more? Way more than them dudes, bro. Yo, he got accolades I'm not even bringing up because I don't really want to shit on these dudes, because I love Terrence Crawford and Usyk, and I'm not doing this to shit on them. I'm just doing this to open eyes. That damn, my man is really doing some fucking real cool shit. He's really putting in that work. My man Chang with the donation. Woo! Chang. We got those Chang's a donation up here. My man always coming through on the super chat, baby. What's up, Chang? How you doing? Monster should give MJ the payday also before going to 126. Monster fights who at 126? There's just so many options at 126, but I don't think the Monster's moving up to 126. I don't think he's going. Now I don't think he's going, Chan. I'm sorry. The way he was talking on the last interview up there, I think that knockdown, that Luis Pantera Nare, slowed him down. It showed him that he's not invincible. It showed Naoya Inoue that he can be hurt, that he can be put down. And it might tell him an indication where maybe you're maxed out. Maybe you got, or you need more time before you make the transition to 126. So I believe we're going to get the MJ fight versus Naoya Inoue next. You know, the way he's talking up there on the he's not leaving 122. He doesn't sound like he's leaving 122 anytime soon. And he also announced that he's waiting for Junto Nakatoni to come up. So in waiting for him to come up, he's going to be in the division for a little while in 122. He's going to be in the division. So the MJ fight, I think that's next. There's no way around it. Once you get Sam Goodman out the way, MJ got a legit claim to the next man in line. MJ. So we're gonna get that MJ smoke. The only way we do not get MJ if he's not ready. Remember, guys, the Naoya Inoue train does not stop for anyone. It's either you make the date or we look for another. I'm excited for John Casamera. Do you guys remember that name? That's the fight I would be excited for. Listen, I would like the John Casamero fight over the Marlon Tapales fight at this point. For all the shit that John Casamero was talking about Naoya Inoue, are you kidding me? Yo, you talk about wanting to get some get back to shut his mouth. Sign me up. Yo, I might have to fly to Japan to see that fight. I swear to goodness. Yo, y'all gotta hit this super chat, bro. I gotta go to Japan, bro. Yo. I like that, John. And see, if John can stay active, Casamera, and he wins another fight, I swear to goodness, John goes out and wins another fight, he's back in the Naoya Inoue sweepstakes. Yeah, John Casamero didn't look bad in his last fight. He looked strong. You know, I didn't know much about the guy he was fighting, but the guy he was fighting didn't look like, like no tomato can. He looked like he was handling himself in the ring. John Casamero just, his power was too much for the guy, and he bullied the guy down. He broke him down and got him out of there. And that's what John Casamero is expected to do. I hope his health stays up. But honestly, if you're asking me, I would love the Marlon Tapales fight, the MJ fight. Yeah, I would like that fight. But I think I would be more interested in the John Casamero fight because that just does something for me. I just want him to shut him up, man. All right? That I want to see that. So there's a possibility we could get some of these fights. Now, okay. There's two scenarios that can kind of throw things off in a way, not in a bad way, in a good way, right? I don't know what the conversation with Turkey Al-Sheikh today was with Naoya Inoue and what the hell he was doing out there with Turkey Al-Sheikh and what their plans for the future for the monster is. I'm not in the room. I'm not privileged to know that kind of information just yet. I wish I was a fly on the wall. Oh, I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall. But then I would have needed another fly next to me to translate. I'd have been like, are you a Japanese fly? Can you tell me what he said? Because I'm going to need a translator. Just because I'm a fly doesn't mean I can speak Japanese. Hold on. I need a little fly translator. All right? But I would have liked to know what their plans for the Naoya Inoue was. So that's one monkey wrench that I say that can kind of alter these fights because money can buy you a fight. Am I right, guys? So, I don't know. I don't know what that means just yet. We're gonna find out, I'm pretty sure. But I don't know what they talked about. The second monkey wrench that can be thrown into these fights, meaning that we might not get the John Casamero or potentially the MJ fight, is because Junto Nakatoni moves into the division. That would be a bigger fight than those two combined. That's another monkey wrench that can take away the MJ fight and the John Casamero fight, because I'm going to tell you right now, the minute Junto Nakatoni walks into 122 pounds, all bets are over. That's the fight we want to see. Am I right? Can I get an R1 in the chat? Can I get an R1 in the chat? Am I right? That Junto fight would be bigger, better, a better payday than any MJ or John Casamero fight or anybody else in that weight division at 122, because he's basically cleaned out all the top guys. You understand? So That's the other monkey wrench. So those things will be subject to change, but I believe he's going to stay at 122. But like I said, those are two tidal waves, the Saudi and Junto. I can't predict. I don't know when Junto's going to come in. I don't know what the plans for the Saudi prince with the monster is. I don't know where, the when, the how. That I'm not familiar just yet with. But those are two major things that can change the landscape of the game, bro, guys. I got it. If Turkey Al-Sheikh tells him to vacate and to move up to 126, there's no Marlon Tapales fight. There's no Casemiro fight. They're gonna have to go get the belts on their own. Now we're talking 126. We're talking Nick Ball. We're talking Ray Vargas. We're talking maybe potentially the winner out of Espinoza and Roberto Ramirez. Like, come on, guys. Those are some big names. Those are some big fighters up there. He could fight any of the champions up there, and I'll be cool with it. The angle that I mostly thought he would take, which was the one that they couldn't avoid him, was the WBO route. By going, because he has the WBO in 122, which gives him the legitimate right to challenge the above champion and make him his immediate mandatory. So he would be fighting the winner out of Roberto and Espinoza going into that time frame. Yeah. I mean, but there's nothing from stopping Ray Vargas is stepping up from the WBC and saying, "Hey, I'll fight him." Any of the champions can step up and choose to fight Naoya Inoue. So that, I'm not saying that the WBO is his only way, but I'm saying that it's one of the, that way they couldn't avoid him. They have to give him the WBO mandatory champion fight, title fight, world championship fight. They're gonna have to grant it to him by the statute of the WBO. So you know how Naoya Inoue doesn't like moving into new weight divisions and fighting like tune-up fights and shit. He doesn't play that shit. He's gonna want to fight a champion right away. And none of the weight jumps he's ever made in his career did he take a tune-up fight anywhere. So that's why I say, the champ, all the champions up there, like, we said it. Angelo Leo for the IBF. Angelo Leo. I almost forgot all about him. He knocked out. Yeah. I think Angelo Leo, as a matter of fact, as my memory serving me right, the more I'm thinking about Angelo Leo, he's made multiple interviews on YouTube declaring how he would beat Naoya Inoue. In fact, yes. Okay, that's right. Leo, right after that knockout, that he knocked homeboy the fuck out, right? right. He said that he was gonna beat Naoya Inoue after dethroning Lopez, right? He also said he sees flaws in Naoya Inoue's fight style, that he's been studying Naoya Inoue for quite some time, and that he sees how to defeat Naoya Inoue. Leo. So he had a lot to say on social media, and he didn't just make one video. He made multiple videos on Naoya Inoue. Now that my memory, yes. So in fact, Leo has shown interest in a Naoya Inoue fight. Yeah. And I think Naoya Inoue beats him. I think Naoya Inoue would beat the brakes off of him. Leo has no chance of going 12 rounds in my mind with Naoya Inoue. It just depends how long he stays in there with him. And I think that Leo would never land the kind of punch that he did on Lopez. Lopez being lazy and taking a break in between like the action and really falling asleep behind the wheel. And Leo hit him with that shot, that one hitter quitter, and knocked him out. That's never gonna happen in the Naoya Inoue fight. For one, Naoya Inoue is alert all 36 minutes, and he's dangerous all 36 minutes. You're gonna have to solve that puzzle for 36 minutes for 12 rounds and to stay alive. Or hurt and finish him. I don't think that Leo has the skills to really impose his will against a fighter that can basically move out of every position. And if you attack him, he's also dangerous. He could fight going backwards. He proved that to Luis Pantera Nari. When Luis Pantera Nari was trying to pressure Naoya in a way, he was going backward. He hit him with a slick check hook, dropped him, sat him down. Don't pressure him. He could punch hard going backwards. Naoya Inoue is a fucking puzzle, bro. He really is a puzzle, man. Leo, I know he's riding high off that Lopez victory. And I gotta give it to Lopez, man, for as much as I want to say Lopez ain't that dude. Nah, he is. He was. He proved it with that crazy style that he understood himself. So I gotta recognize styles. Lopez might not look like your traditional boxer, but his boxing style, that is a style. And he has mastered it for himself. So I'm going to give him a champion's nod and recognition that no, you were not no cab driver or bum. Lopez, you were a worthy champion that beat worthy competition. Yes, he did at 126. It might look awkward, but I can never talk down about Lopez. No, Lopez did his thing. So for Leo knocking out Lopez, I get it. I think he's talking a little bit too much. I think Naoya beats him. I think Naoya Inoue beats Robersi. I think he has a problem a little bit with Espinoza, but I think he figures him out. The one that I fucking fear the most, fucking Nick Ball. Go figure. Go figure. Why Nick Ball? He's just so stocky and short and strong. He's top heavy. Like his frame, he's like me. Like in my younger days, bro. Yo, I'm real big. I'm top heavy. My chest is like this. Bro, I used to work out. I used to put bottles of water on my chest right here. It came out like that. It would sit right here. I was 22, 23, 24, 27, 28, fucking mid 30s. I was always like a nice size, always. And Nick Ball was he's real top heavy, right? And he's so short that the shorter you are, the torque is really good. He hits extremely hard. He's an awkward fighter, which is the element that I worry about. Those awkward fighters that you can't really get a beat on, and they kind of throw punches that you shouldn't have been throwing in that sequence. In this sequence, you should have been covering up. Instead, Nick Balls is taking the punch and that overhand shots, man, and he's winging them out there. He looks like he could take a punch, Nick Ball. I'm not sure what he looks like when Naoya Inoue hits him. There has been fighters that have sustained Naoya Inoue's power for a few rounds. Jason Maloney made it to the 7th, Malin Tapales. There's been multiple fighters. So it's not like every single time he hits you, he's just gonna crush you. They know that they feel how bad it hurts and they don't want to get hit by it again. But Naoya Inoue, he has at this level, he has to work the knockout. He's just not gonna lift your chin and go, Naoya, it's right there. Because if you lift your chin, he'll knock you out with one punch. But he's not hitting you with that complete knockout power in every sequence. He's changing up his cadence of the way he throws his punches. So these guys are surviving, but at this level, when you throw that big punch, you're going to want to make sure you land it. And when he does eventually throw it, you saw Stephen Kubo Fulton take an accumulation of damage, right? But he wasn't all busted up. He was wearing it well until Naoya Inoue saw him slow down that much. That much Stephen Kubo Fulton slowed down. He didn't move backwards like he was in the early round when Naoya stabbed him in the belly and the stomach with that jab. In the first round, when Naoya Inoue was shooting the jab downstairs to Stephen Kubo Fulton, he was dipping backwards, avoiding the body shot. In that round, Naoya Inoue hit him in the body, and Stephen Kubo Fulton stood there. He saw his opportunity, and he straight right the shit out of that man. And with that shot, he dropped him. He threw that same sequence and that same combination in the fight and did not drop Stephen Kubo Fulton because he didn't throw it with that intensity. He was testing the waters. Is it there? Boop, bop. Oh, it's there. It's there. Let's go 2 more rounds. Make him forget about that exchange, and I'm going to test the waters again with it. See if I can set that same punch up. And he did. Boop. He didn't move. Bam. Laid him. That's what happened, man. What's up, Jonathan97? How you doing, baby? Yo, I'm trying to tell you guys, like, Naoya Inoue, man, listen, the thing with, you know, what makes him really impressive for me, right? I mean, there's a lot of attributes about the man that we could sit here for a long time and talk about a lot of things that are really impressive about him. But not every man has perfect timing. Not every man is always in the right position to throw the right punch. He seems to be where that his what he's thinking and his feet, he's in sequence with his body and his thought, the way of attack. He's truly in sequence with himself, man. I'm trying to tell you. He throws one punch, he throws another one, sets his feet, gets underneath himself, and is in position to give and generate that enough power behind that punch to hurt you. Setting up punches off. He throws combination 4-5 piece combination. You know, he does things in the ring that he has a great understanding of what kind of pressure he needs to put on you that will make you go into your high guard or defensive position, where that now you had no choice but to cover up. When you peak, when you go to peak or you go to exchange, that's where Naoya Inoue lives. He lives for those moments. See when Luis Pantera Nari had him pressured against the rope? And Naoya Inoue hit him with that beautiful uppercut that sat him down on one knee, right? And that side shot. When Luis Pantera Nari, he was literally looking at Naoya Inoue through his guard. When he went to move his hand, he went, Naoya Inoue's punch was already coming. That's ring IQ right there, bro. That's a high ring IQ. Like, for you to, like, I mean, millimeters. He just went like this. He didn't even get his punch out here. Naoya Inoue's punch was already coming. It was, he knows what boxing entails, Naoya Inoue. He knows what you can do with your 2 hands. He knows what he can do if he pushes you to the right or left. He knows that most right-handed fighters can't fight going to the left. Work the side he doesn't train on. Any fighter can fight going to the right if you're right-handed. You know what I'm saying? Or to the left, I mean. To the left, I mean. But they can't fight going to the right. I'm sorry, let me clear that up. I was thinking, I don't know why, a left-handed fighter or something, right? He's not going to be able to fight going that way. So At this level, sometimes you'll be surprised at how many small holes some fighters have. I remember when Mario Barrio fought Tank Davis at 140. Tank Davis comes back to the corner. He sits down. Calvin Ford tells Tank Davis, Tank, he can't fight going to the right. He was right. You watch Mario Barrio fight, and quickly you were like, oh shit, he can't fight going to the right. That's a big flaw for a professional fighter to have at that level, right? Those are things you got to work on. Devin Haney has a big flaw. He can't block a left check hook. Why couldn't nobody see that? Right? And Devin Haney can't fight going backwards at all. He doesn't even have 5% knowing how to fight going backwards. He's like at 0. And that's alarming for Devin Haney. To see that about a fighter that was undisputed, and we all found out he couldn't fight going backwards. No one pushed him back like that. Wow, he had a lot of comfortable fights then. He never had a fighter that pushed him back like that. The minute they did it, he couldn't hide it. The world saw it. It was on full display against Ryan Garcia. He didn't throw one punch going backwards. Not one. He couldn't even defend himself going backwards. He didn't know how to. That was a big flaw, man. So some of these guys are not the complete package. And that's when we talk about our fighters on pound for pound lists, to see. That's what I talk about. That's why I judge this guy at such a high regards. Because honestly, he's well-rounded everywhere. And I acknowledge that. I know what I'm watching. I know what I'm looking for. And, I'm trying to see if he has flaws in his footwork. Can he fight going backwards, righty, lefty? Where's his weaknesses? And the only weakness that I see that Naoya Inoue has, he's a little too anxious on the kill. He's a little too anxious on the kill. If Naoya Inoue can get an award-winning, Academy Award, Oscar-winning boxer to fight him, and what I mean by that is Academy Award, Oscar-winning fighter means a guy that can play possum really well and sell the part. You might be able to catch Naoya Inoue like that. If he thinks he has you hurt anywhere in the fight, he's going to attack you. There's his weakness. He's been hit a lot of times in different situations, in different fights, coming in for the kill. Guys were able. He's a little bit looser on his defense. He's just throwing punches like this now. Naoya Inoue, like that. He's not as defensively sound. He's not coming in like this. No, he starts throwing bombs from his shoulder. He starts landing them like that. Like he had McDonald hurt. He started banging, and McDonald bounced off the rope and caught Naoya Inoue coming in. A lot of fighters caught him coming in trying to get knocked out. He just straight caught him, but he walks through that because he has the guy so hurt. That's why I said, if you can get that guy that's a good actor, that can take a good punch in the right moment, you got to sell it. You got to get the Academy Award for this performance, right? He's got to hit you. You got to be like, your eyes roll back, right? But meanwhile, you're playing possum. You're not hurt at all. You're like, and he comes in, and you can catch him. You can catch him that way. He's going to think you're hurt. He's going to think it's like, oh, just like every other fight. He might catch me coming in, but he's not going to have enough power because he's on queer streak right now. His legs are fucking spaghetti legs. He doesn't have anything behind him. He's not afraid to walk in and take your punch at that point. You're not going to be able to hit him hard. You're out of your mind already. But if you're not out of your mind and you play possum and you sit back and you let it go, baby, you might be able to catch him. Whether or not you can follow up or you just woke up a sleeping dragon, that's going to be your problem. If you don't finish him and that dragon gets up, woo, he's going to want some get back. You might want to, I don't know, change your name. Into the witness protection program right in that moment because this killer is coming after you. You might have just pissed off, right? Godzilla and shit. You gonna get fucked up, right? So you gotta be able to finish him like Luis Pantera Nari, man. He had his moment, bro. He had him. He had. Well, I'm not gonna say 100%. He had him. Well, that was his moment, man. And Naoya Inoue was still hurt when he got up off the ground. You saw him. He was trying to evade. He grabbed Luis Pantera Nari that one time he clinched. Then he let go. He slid by the referee. He circled out. Luis Pantera Nari was still pressuring him. He was blocking shots. He was still recovering. And those stars were still spinning around his head. You could see it. You know, so Luis, that was his moment. Now I gotta admit, that was your time. Don't let that dragon get up off the ground, bro. Yo, I was telling the people, I was like, the monster's okay. The monster's okay. Right? You guys see my short, right? And I was saying it. I say, what you guys are about to see here is about to see a world champion come back when you let him off the hook. Don't let a man like that off the ground. You got him down, keep him down. That's my advice. Stay on him. Your fight was right there. You know, so that's why I said, you know, an Academy Actor Award winning boxer that could probably play it off like he got hurt, maybe could try to set him up. Whether or not Naoya Inoue falls for it, you know, if he sees like you're playing possum, like, this he playing, right? You trying to catch me. Then you didn't pull off an Oscar performing role, did you? You got to be great at selling that. I'm hurt shit to Naoya Inoue. That's what I mean. It's got to be Oscar winning performance. It can't be no average shit that you looking at him like, oh, I'm hurt. He like, man, you capping, right? Like, right? So it's got to be in a moment. It's got to be slick with it. You know, everything. Naoya Inoue hits him. He staggers. The crowd yells. The referee looks concerned. Naoya Inoue say, this is my time right here. And you, nope. You might be able to surprise him. I don't know. But as far as the guys for skill wise, I think the best skilled chance of defeating Naoya Inoue is at 126. I'm not too sure that any of the guys are going to surprise him at 122. I respect all the boxers at 122. I respect them all. All the fighters at 122, they're all skilled, but there's levels to this. There is levels. Naoya Inoue has entered a level as a boxer that most boxers never really reached that plateau of that kind of skill. So he's a very skilled boxer, but all boxers can be beat. There is no fighter in the world that is just the greatest thing. You know, Mayweather could have been beaten if he would have took different fights throughout his career. In the end of his career, while he was breaking his hands so many times, you know, he kind of managed the back tail end of your career, in which in reality, that's what you're supposed to do. Where you make your mark as a fighter is in the middle of your career, at the height, at your prime. That's where you're supposed to make your name. Right there. That's where Manny Pacquiao made his name. People don't talk about his losses, and they don't talk about Manny Pacquiao's first 10 fights. Who the hell has ever brought up Manny Pacquiao's first 10 fights? I'll wait. There's no one in this room that knows Manny Pacquiao's first 10 fights. I don't believe it. Right? What you talk about Manny Pacquiao is his prime. Where Mayweather made his name was in his prime. Where these men make their legendary status is right there. So that's where you're supposed to put in the most work. You got to beat the most champions. At the tail end, these champions are not supposed to be in there with these young boys no more. They were the young guys at one time. They were fighting the top of the top. You know, I'm not I'm not really with that. Dragging out the old champion, having them, but sometimes you got to do it. Oscar De La Hoya fought Julio Cesar Chavez. Oscar De La Hoya beat the shit out of him. I didn't like to see it because I had a lot of respect for Julio Cesar Chavez, and I thought that even though he was young still when he fought Oscar, he had over 90 fucking fights plus in his record. What was he when he fought Oscar De La Hoya, though? Julio Cesar Chavez, how old was he? He was like 33, 34 years old. Julio Cesar Chavez wasn't, right? But he had so many fights. I mean, his face was like, it was like meatloaf. Julio Cesar Chavez's face was like leather. If you smacked him, you might hurt your hand. He might cut your hand. That shit was like freaking. His face was like hard sandpaper. It looked like hard leather, like from so many years of getting punched in the face. His face was just one battered fucking like. Man, I'm surprised Julio Cesar Chavez talks as well as he does. And he was able to like not to be like a lot of fighters where they were like typically slow in speech. You could see it in them. Yes. I'm not saying you don't see no effects. No, yeah, you do. I'm just surprised how well he speaks now. How well, like how coherent he is. For as many fights as, man, come on, bro. This motherfucker had 90 fights by the time he was like 20. He was fighting on a weekly basis. Talk about a man that was born to fight. Julio Cesar Chavez would fight you, your brother, your father, and your uncle on the same day. He's not running. He's just like, I'll fight all of you one at a time. Come on. He'll this Julio Cesar Chavez will do 12 rounds in sparring the night of the fight and go in and do another 12 rounds. He was ridiculous, bro. Julio Cesar Chavez never hit the punching bag or the speed bag. He didn't jump rope. He all he did was spar and run. That's all I ever seen him do. That's all I ever seen him talk about. All Chavez did was jog and fucking kick ass in the ring. He said that he didn't feel that punching the mitts made you any better. He said punching a bag that doesn't hit back, how are you learning? He said, I already learned how to throw a punch and I already know how to throw it hard. I don't need to hit the bag anymore. I don't need to hit the mitts anymore. What I need is boxing experience. And there's only one way you're going to get that. You got to go fight some people and see what happens in some fighting situations and keep learning. Chavez only believed in sparring. So if he had over 100 professional fights, Chavez, how many sparring matches did he have? How many amateur fights? Imagine how many real fights Julio Cesar Chavez has been in his life for his face to look like that. And that's why I'm so surprised that he's coherent, talking the way he is. Yeah, he does show signs and effects, but not like let's see a fighter like Hitman Hearns. That's a sad case right there. Go watch or please save yourself from it. I'll tell you. Hitman Hearns, man, he can't even hold a conversation, bro. Can't. He was a great fighter, bro. And like the price you pay at the end of your career, sometimes it's not worth it. It's not worth the money, man. It's really not. You figure like people like Hitman Hearn, they came into boxing so early. He was 18, 19 years old. I mean, for God's sake, he was like 23 years old fighting Marvelous Hagler in their fight. Hitman Hearn was 23 years old in that fight. He was a kid fighting grown ass men. He paid the price for that. His brain and his skull probably didn't even heal all the way as a young man. By time he had already started taking punches to the head. Yeah. He's just that's just like bad. Like, and then Roberto Duran, I feel like he's okay. He's showing signs too, but he's still up in fights, conventions. Roberto Duran can have a conversation with you. Roberto Duran can talk to you about boxing and actually still teach you something about boxing. Yes, he can. That man is really smart, Roberto Duran. I've talked, like, if heard him talk with other boxers and everything, just sitting there watching like the interview, and I'm like, that motherfucker still got it. So Roberto Duran is older. He's another boxer that I feel that um, you know, he took a lot of punches, but not I don't, he's been in a lot of wars though, Duran, yeah. And he's fairly can talk well. I feel like, but not all of us are like that. Yeah, and some of us play the ultimate price. Like Muhammad Ali, you've seen it at full display. You could call that Parkinson's, call it whatever you want. No, those were those George Foreman punches. That's what that was. And the accumulation of those punches from Joe Frazier and getting his jaw broken by Ken Norton Jr. Like Muhammad Ali went through some wars. And um Joe George Foreman, right? Typically knocked everyone out with that 1-2 that he consistently hit Ali with on those ropes against that rope a dope thing. Ali took a lot of damage in that fight. George Foreman hit Ken Norton and nearly threw him out the ring. George Foreman hit Joe Frazier with one punch and picked him up off his feet, like that high off the both feet. Go watch it. He does like a bunny hop. He hit him so hard, he picked him up off his feet. Those men took Ali's punches like nothing. Frazier, 12 rounds. Ken Norton Jr., no problem. Taking Ali's punches. And here comes Big George, just went just like this and fucking put him in a coma over there in the corner. He was sleeping dudes. How tough was Ali to take those shots? How tough was he? How tough was his will? Ali was a big boy. He was kind of big, right? But that doesn't take away from George Foreman's monster power. How did he survive that onslaught? I'll tell you, the will to win. The challenge that was George Foreman, that's what Ali lived for. Ali was the type of fighter that, although he was good, he was even better when the stakes were higher. That he would be bored and fight like these fights, but he would look good in them. It just didn't bring the best out of Ali. When Ali saw like a man that was like, like claiming to be like Sonny Liston. When Ali beat Sonny Liston, it was like Sonny Liston was this brutal knockout artist that was tormenting and here comes this 22-year-old kid and whoops his ass. That they had to cheat and put Well, I think Ali's corner fucked up and put something in his eyes on accident, or maybe somebody cheated because all of a sudden Ali was blind in that fight, right? But it goes to show you that that's when Ali was at his best. When the competition was at the most fierce, and they were like, Ali, this guy's gonna kill you. That's when he was the best. But he paid the price for it. He paid the price for it. It's a warrior's price. It's a price that many men and women know that that's a possibility. And through all that, watching Ali on full display on TV shake like that, do you think that that deterred any of these fighters or scared them from saying, "Nah, I don't want to do that. That's not for me." Maybe for some people, but they were never fighters in the beginning with. Real warriors would embrace it. Real fighters, it would be an honor for me to share the ring with you. Some men look at it, hey, we're going to die anyway, right? Let me die the way I want, doing the thing I love. Let's go. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think that that was going to deter anyone from doing so, but at the same time, these are some of the things that, happen in the sport of boxing, guys. This chat always has the giggles. What? Angry Mexican, what you doing? What's up, fam? How y'all doing? Bam Bam Boogie, how you doing? Armando Frontline, how you guys doing? In the building. uh, 10 lines of emojis. Yo, Frontline, you acting up with all this. Yo, Bam, don't encourage him. What do you guys think about some of these fights? What do you guys think about Subriel? What you guys think he should do? You think he should invade Puerto Rico and jump in the ring? Huh? Go out there in that Liam Paro fight with Richard Hitchison and really stake his claim for, a shot at one of those guys? I mean, Regis Progress and Jack Hatter, what the fuck? Regis Progress and Jack Catterall, right? They're gonna fight. The interesting thing is that I saw an interview with Regis Progress, right? The thing that has me concerned the most about Regis Progress coming into this fight, and even though I'm a historian, right? I'm a historian, right? Yo, who the hell is putting up pickles now? Yo, listen, you guys are messing me up. No P Diddy in the chat. All right, I'm gonna start blocking dudes if we get some P Diddy activity on the chat. All right, yo. So, well, see, you messed me up. You made me lose my train of thought. You know what I mean? Don't distract me. All right. Uh, what was I saying? Shit. What was he talking about? Now all I'm thinking about is P Diddy and fucking pickles and fucking Armando with baby oil. That's all I can see in my head. You done fucked me up, bro. What's going on? Armando squirting the baby oil like this. Ah! Throw your hands in the air and squirt them like you just don't care. Hey, yo, Armando. Yeah. Hey, yo. Bam. Don't encourage him. Stop. Yo, anyway, yo, Mando, you crazy. Yo, So anyway, Subriel Matias, he would love to, I guess, challenge the winner or whatever out of them, but I interviewed him and he was saying in a good world he would like these things, but he's just gonna have to, win the fights he needs to. What if, Liam Barrow loses to Richard Hitchison? You know, the one thing about new champions, they're not always eager and quick to jump in the ring and sacrifice their belt right away. You see Richard Hitchison jumping in the ring and you think, what? You think he'd fight Subriel after that? Shit, he didn't want to fight him when he was the number one. One fight later, which would be Liam Paro, you think he's ready after that? I'm not sure about that. I think he would play keep away. And most fighters that win world titles, that's typically what they do. Unless they really believe they're him. There's a difference. There's some men that don't shy away from world title fights because that's in fact exactly what they wanted to do. But there are other men that box that are content with just winning one world title. They've achieved their dream. They hit their goal. They don't want to fight you to unify. You're too dangerous. You might beat me for my belt. I'm not going to tell you that. But you know what? I'd rather fight the guys in my weight division and the ranking, in my weight ranking, than unify with you. So not all men have the same vision of unification. Rolly wasn't going to unify. Rolly got the WBA World Championship, and I think he should be thankful that he got that. I don't think Rolly was going to go out and try to secure all the belts. I think he was going to stay there. And did anybody say anything about Rolly? No. But if your name's Tank Davis, Shakur Stevenson, or Naoya Inoue, or Terrence Crawford, it seems to be the stigma of boxing today. Unless you're trying to unify all four belts, you're trash. You're garbage. You're scared. You're ducking. You're this, you're that. If Jaron Boots Ennis does not try to unify, watch what they call him. Mark my words. Mark my words. In an era in boxing in 2023, what do you think got the fans to tune back into watching boxing? The unification of all these world title fights and the fact that there was like 6 fighters at one time that had 4 belts. It was like almost you get belts, you fight for belts. So if that's what brought you into boxing, the attraction of watching one man fight for all the belts, that's what you're expecting now in boxing. Because that's what brought you to it. Now that you've been spoiled with watching the men and women, the Clarissa Shields, all, they had belts everywhere. The Terrence Crawfords, the Naoya Inoues, the Usyks, But back then it was the Charlos. The Loma had 3, but anyway, the Josh Taylors of the world, all those guys. And that's why fans, I think, now clamor for the fact that they want to see unification so bad, because that's what started happening just a few years ago. Now they believe that that's how boxing runs. That's how boxing works. You have to unify now. And that's not so. That could be so furthest away from the truth. There have been countless men in boxing history that had one belt in one weight division and were dominant champions. Yeah. One of the greatest champions that had 1 or 2 belt was Wilfredo Gomez. 17 world title defenses. He won all 17 by knockout. Is he a bum? But he never unified all 3 belts. So by your standard, that guy must be a bum. And that's bullshit. He's one of the greatest fighters ever to live. And we all know that. So unification is not what boxing's about. Just try to win one world title. Let's start there, Tonto. And see if you could do at least that. That's hard enough by itself. Out of the 1,000 men in your weight division, you think you're going to get your number called? What are the odds of you getting your number called? What are your odds of you staying undefeated the entire time until your number gets called? What are the odds that you were undefeated the entire time and you lose the fight just before the belt and lose your spot in line? You got to start over. That's how that works. Only the men, basically, that are undefeated, or if a fucking something happens, like two guys were scheduled to fight, this guy breaks his hand. He has to pull out the fight because of a broken hand. And you get a phone call. That's the luck of the draw. You technically then earned that. You just took the fight. And if you take the fight like that, like on short notice, and then happen to come in the fight and win the fight, you see, some people get those opportunities, but not all boxers in boxing. There are boxers that box their entire career, 40 plus fights, 43 plus fights, one loss. The other night, you saw that guy fight against Junto Nakatoni, and he was fighting for his first world title. Sam Goodman is 19-0, ranked by 2 major sanctioning bodies. He's coming against his first world title fight now. So all this bullshit about, no, unify the belts, do this, do what you mean? First, just get one. Show me that you can just get one fucking belt, because that's impressive in itself. Do you know how much shit you had to go through to get there? Get all 4 belts. Like, that shit is easy. Like, they just handing these belts out. Yo, that shit is crazy, man. Yo, in order to unify all 4 belts, the fucking stars and the planets gotta line up just right. Your boxing promoter has to work with his boxing promoter. That guy got to agree with it. You got to agree with it. Where you're going to fight, you got to agree. The money's got to be agreement. Yo, the freaking stars have to be in line. If his promotional company doesn't fuck with your promotional company, guess what? You might not unify. Your career is probably based on promotional company shit. Not off your skills, not because you can't do it. See, Floyd could have unified. He could have unified all 4 belts in any era. Of course he could have. But they weren't going to fuck with their promotional company, and the fighter didn't want to fight him. Yep. So it's not that easy to do any of this shit that these people are just sitting at home going, he's ducking him. You should be fighting him. I want to see the biggest fights. Yeah, just because you say it doesn't mean that it happens. Boxing is so wild west, but I get it. I get it. These men are not robots. These men would like to be able to know who their name is and who their kids are when they're 60. 50 years old. You don't even recognize your kids because you're fucking been fighting the best after the best and all these wars in between, that by the time you retire out of your career, you can't even sign your own checks because your hand doesn't stop shaking. You're like this. You're at a ringside fight like this. Fucking 45 years old. So it's not recommended that you continuously fight the best fighting the best. You're not supposed to do that. If you did that, you would go in war after war after war after war. You should be in a hospital after like your sixth fight forever. You should be like being you're fed out of a tube. You should be wearing Depends diapers because you can't even control your bowel movement. You can't fight like we're not designed to take punches to the face. For you to go out there and consistently fight those kind of Manny Pacquiao fights where your fucking eyelids broken, you suffered a broken nose. Your next fight, you suffered another broken nose, a knockdown. You got concussed in that fight. You just went another 12 rounds with that guy. The next fight, you fight the next best fighter, and that one goes another 12 rounds. You were dropped twice in that round, and that fight, you dropped him 4 times in that fight. I mean, it was a brutal fight. And right after that fight, you go fight the next tough fight. Man, listen, you're not gonna last. There's no way you can last. You got to be able to fight fights where you dominate, where you don't get hit as much, and you can look good to sell the big fight. After that one big fight, you got to take another fight where you look good and take less punches and knock him out and perhaps go down for another big fight. But you go ahead and try to go in there, tough fight after tough fight. Good luck to you. You're not going to last long. There's nobody in the world that can do that. Go at war after war after war after, man, because if you're fighting the best, it's got to have to be a war. Because you can't say he's fighting the best walking in there and knocking him out in one round. He wasn't his equal. When you get his equal, that's the best fighting the best. That means those fights are going to be knocked out, banged out fights. You got a fight on your hand. Do that 6, 7 times in a row. See how that works out for you. So this narrative that the fans are saying, no, I want to see the best fighting the best. That's just some dumb asshole that said a line and it caught fire. And now people actually think that's how boxing works. That couldn't be furthest from the truth. Where do you guys make these humans at that can do that? If in the history of combat sports, no human has ever done any shit like that, you ever ask yourself why? Have you ever just stopped and said, why doesn't the best fight always fight the best? Repeatedly. Have you ever even just asked yourself that question? Why doesn't that happen? Did you always think it was because of promotion, management, or one guy saying no? Did you always think that those were the reasons? Just maybe. I don't know. Let me throw this out there. Just maybe that's not recommended for your fucking career as a boxer, as a fighter. Just maybe you shouldn't do that. It's not healthy to do that at all. You know fighters that got pushed behind those narratives? Hitman Hearns. Hitman Hearns legitimately tried to fight the best after the best after the best after the best after the best. Look what happened to him. Look what happened to the men in Ali. Ali did that shit. He really did. He went and fought one tough fight after the next, after the next, after the next. Ali did that shit. What happened to him? These fighters, they have coaches, trainers, nutritionists, and real people that tell them real reality shit. If you go out there time in and time again and get into these wars, your career is going to last 2.5 years, 3 years at best. If you fight 3 times a year for 3 years, after 3 years, you're done. You will have no more career. You probably won't ever be able to spell your name. Go in there and do what Payanza did. Go in there and do what Arturo Gotti did. You see Arturo Gotti's fights? Did you see his face after the fights? You're not gonna, bro. I mean that fucking stupid line. I want to see the best fighting the best, bro. They act like they said something. Like if these men and women are robots and they can actually pull that shit off, you will never, ever, ever see that. And I don't recommend it, nor would I get behind it, because whoever's foolish enough to do that dumb shit to continuously fight the best, yo, God bless you. And you know what? I hope your family can stands by you while you can no longer hold your bowels and they got to wipe your ass and spoons feed you. I hope they love you enough for the sacrifice you made, because I guarantee you, you will no longer be with us up here. Fuck out of here, bro. These boxers, you guys shouldn't listen to these fans sometimes. Don't do what they say. Give us the big fights, yeah. Don't be a pussy, Tank Davis, and eventually fight fucking Shakur. All right? I already know you're going to fight him. I swear to God, Tank Davis, if you let me down and make me look stupid behind this, Tank Davis, you're not going to go down in history as a great fighter anyway, right? If you don't start taking chances. You keep fighting these mediocre fights, Tank, and eventually the fans are not going to back you no more. We're backing you right now, and your career can't even take this kind of speed bump right now, Tank. You need to fight some of these guys. But the reason why Tank needs to fight some of these guys, and in his case, you can say he needs to fight the best because he hasn't fought none of the best. He ain't fought anybody. He fought some pretty decent, I'm not going to say anybody, right? Because Leo Santa Cruz is a Hall of Famer, right? But he got moved up. So no one wants to give him credit for that, right? So Tank, you ain't really fought tough fight after tough fight after tough fight. I think you need to give us some tough fights right now. So you know what I mean? You can't say, oh, Tank's taking a break from fighting the best, fighting the best. Motherfucker, you didn't fight no one. Frank the Ghost Martin, he ain't never competed for a world title in his life. Oh my God. But so Tank's got to really step it up. He really does. So we can't say that about Tank. No, Tank, you need to start fighting the best. Because I know he's good. I know he's fucking good. I can't give him the credit until he does it. He needs to show the world so I can get on and say, I told y'all he was that good. I knew it. I knew it all along. Tank was that dude. But he has to do it first. He has to do it first. So I'm critical to Tank. I love me some Tank. But I'll tell it like it is. I'll tell I like Tank. I got nothing against Tank. I fucking like Tank, man. I think he's a special fighter, but I'm gonna always keep it real. I'm gonna keep it honest. You know? In Tank's situation, he needs to fight the best because he's never fought them. Yeah. But when you're already fighting big fights, good, the best, the top guys in your division, it really is not recommended for you to fucking have 8 Manny Pacquiao fights in a row. You don't want to do that. Don't do that. But Shakur Stevenson, if he wants to claim to be he needs to start fighting the best too. Them guys haven't done it yet. They haven't even been in a fucking knocked out, drag bagged out fight yet in their career. Where they've been cut, knocked down, had to face adversity. No. They haven't even done it once. When we were asking Marvelous Hagler and Hitman Hearn to do this, they were coming fresh out of a war. They were freshly coming out of a war, entering another war. So you could say it for those kind of guys. You know? Naoya, in a way, he fought an undisputed, undefeated champion entering a new weight division He fought the next undisputed, I mean, not undisputed, what am I saying? Unified champion. He fought one unified champion that was undefeated, had 2 belts. His second fight was another unified. Do I keep saying undisputed? I feel like I do in my head. Am I saying undisputed? The word I'm looking for is unified, people. If you find that I fucked that up, just recognize that the word I am looking for is unified. Okay. He fought the second unified champion, right, in Marlon Tapales, then the number 1, number 2, and number 1. That's the best fighting the best for Naoya Inoue. And he's so much better than these guys that it doesn't seem that way, does it? He's not getting hit that much. He's real stingy on his defense. You know, so Naoya Inoue is definitely, he's a rare commodity, man. People are not going to realize, unfortunately, what he's really doing until he's gone. And they're going to start watching his highlights when you could have paid attention to him when he was actually here in real time. Naoya Inoue is definitely one of those guys that I feel like they're going to do that. They're not going to appreciate him until he's gone. Yeah. So, fight fans, listen, we've been chopping up for an hour and 30 minutes. You guys have been the best. Man, you guys always got a lot to laugh about in the chat. I'm glad you guys are enjoying your time. Although I think Armando and Frontline are having too much fun all the time. You know what I mean? Bam Bam doesn't make anything better. He encourages them. He encouraged. You guys are the shit. Listen, Bam Bam, Armando, Angry Mexican. You guys have all been awesome, man. Joseph, what's up, my man? In the building, checking in. Thank you for tuning in. Guys, please don't forget to smash this like button for me. Well, it keeps and don't forget to give $1 to the super chat, which it helps provide me for video editing, putting things like this up, some more decoration, and even getting me into the situation where that I can get out to these fights and interview the fighters, and I'll bring you guys as well with me with your questions like I've always done. So, fight fans, please don't forget to give me a thumbs up on this channel. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, and like always, I'm on to the next one here at Round One Sports Talk. Armando, you are the best, my people, chat family.